Howdy. So I'm going to sit down and I'm going to give you this little bit of a video so that everybody gets the same information at the same time or different times, but it's the same information from me. That way I don't happen to miss something when I'm talking to one group and not another. So I've got about 12 or 13 things that I want to talk about, all fairly straightforward. Let me first off say that I just spoke with Sandra, and on her end, on all the metrics based on resident feedback, budget, staffing, she's very, very happy with the department. I think as a whole, we're doing fantastic. This is a completely different department than what I walked into in February. I'd like to say that we've all come together and really shine, shined, shown, shown, shined. Especially when we go to other buildings. Some people had the fortune to go to Sarasota, others had the fortune to go to Orlando. And when we went to the other buildings, we were noticeably, I would like to think, better than some of the staff that we ran across and interacted with in the other buildings. And so, alrighty. So, sorry about that. But no, we really did have a interesting fall this year. Our autumn was wrought with hurricanes, and we came out of it better than I expected. And in turn, when I sit there and I talk to Sandra and the other department heads in the building, they're very happy with what the kitchen's doing right now, which is awesome. I can thank you for that, because ultimately, I can say this is what should happen or what needs to happen or so on and so forth. But everybody that works in the kitchen, you're the ones that have actually turned this place around. Sandra always says it takes a village, um, and I'll tell you flat out, it really did take a whole lot of teamwork to get us to where we are now. We're on track with money, we're on track with labor, we're on track with scheduling. Um, we've been able to do a whole lot of things in a very short amount of time. Don't get me wrong, we still have a lot more to do, but at this point now, again, baby steps, little things here, little tweaks there, to make it so that in the end everything is, I think, a lot smoother for everybody. First thing I want to talk about, I guess, is bullet point number one, which is one team, one building, three meals. And really what we're looking at is exactly that. I mean, we are one team, we're one kitchen. We have definitely made a difference in the short time that I've been here. We have people that have worked here for years, and I'm sure at one point or another they liked it more or less, or they're indifferent about it compared to now. Um, but I would say that, when I first got here, the residents were complaining a lot about the food. The residents were complaining a lot about a lot of things, and they're not complaining about the food right now, really at all, ever. Um, a lot of it has to do with the fact that we really are trying to be that one team, one building. Um, but I think where we're losing it is the three meals. It turns into an us against them. Well, morning didn't do this, night doesn't do this, so on and so forth. Um, I think I'm going to address that mostly in the fact that I've written uh, basically uh, logs for what a station should be doing at what point in time. And hopefully it clears up a lot of the misconceptions. And we do have to remember that, just because one shift didn't do it or another shift did do it, there are a whole lot of dynamics that go into each shift. And while one shift might be here longer or shorter, doesn't necessarily mean they have more or less time on their plate, because I mean everybody really is doing as much as they can. for the most part. We do have some people that are taking advantage of some things, and those will be addressed individually rather than, me calling people out in a video. Number two, we talked about the job descriptions. So our job descriptions here, I mean, everybody has one. I have one. Dietary aides and cooks have job descriptions. We're going to review those, and I'm coming up on a yearly review. So apparently, at this point now, I mean, generally speaking, you have to do a yearly review for everybody, and I'll do that yearly review come November, December, and we'll all sit down and talk about how we're doing and where we're excelling and where we can focus on getting a little bit better. Talked about the timeline. The timeline really comes down to making sure that everybody kind of is on the same page for doing the same thing. There's a million different ways to do one particular thing, and I'm not going to nitpick and I'm not going to micromanage. If you want to pour one juice first rather than the other juice, to do this or that or so on and so forth, but it really does give you a timeline or an outline for what and where and when things are supposed to happen. And that's really more along the lines just to make sure things are getting done and not skipped over by accident or on purpose. The next two are really tray accuracy and adherence to diet concerns. One of the places we do fall short on is tray accuracy. And that goes hand in hand with diet concerns, likes, dislikes, correct items for texture, and following the correct spreadsheets. So, and no fault of your own, spreadsheets have been a little lacking. They will be back up and running by the time you see this video, so I'm not worried about that. However, we do need to make sure that we are following the guidelines, especially for tray accuracy. If a gentleman says he wants 2 cranberry juices, 2 ginger ales, and 2 milks every lunch, we really do need to be giving him that, because if we aren't giving that person those 6 drinks, chances are I'm going to hear about it, nursing's going to hear about it, nurses are going to have to walk down and get some. They're either going to have to get it out of the nourishment room, or I'm going to get a phone call or get called out in a meeting because so-and-so didn't get ketchup or what have you. And so really, tray accuracy is a huge part of our job. I mean, if you look at it, we're all here to feed people 3 times a day. That's really why we're here. And those 3 meals come down to tray line. And those tray lines comes down to 1 tray at a time. Say we have 115 residents, that is 115 opportunities for us to forget something. And that really is, and that's just 1 meal. So I mean, it's quite a bit of an opportunity for us to skip, miss, or forget things. And so we really do need to make sure that as we're going through tray line, we're looking at the likes, we're looking at the dislikes, we're making sure that all the drinks are there, we're making sure that we're giving appropriate food to the correct person, whether it be little things like soft bread versus pureed bread, sweet and low versus sugar, all the way through up until no seeds, nuts, and hulls.
Victoria, you have a call
Sorry.
on Park 1. Victoria, you have a call on Park 1.
So at that point, we really do need to make sure that we're just double checking all the trays all the time. We do get a little complacent with some people because they've been here for a while and we expect to know what they like or dislike. But diets change and people's preferences change quite a bit. So we need to be looking at it every single day like it's the first time we're looking at it. We only have in this building about 3 areas that I'm going to call the extra areas. And that's going to end up being, our dining rooms, our nourishment rooms, and outside for that hydration cart. That's just 3 small areas. Dining rooms, generally speaking, Yvette and myself will be setting up dining rooms and, at least putting down clean tablecloths and so on and so forth. But, on the days where it doesn't happen, somebody else needs to do that. And generally speaking, I'm going to say a dietary aid on days where it can't happen, such as Sunday. You need to go down and make sure that the dining room is set for breakfast, lunch, and dinner so that the residents, when they're coming in, are not looking at a room in shambles. Nourishment rooms, same thing. Um, when we're going down and delivering coffee, and we're putting coffee in each nourishment room, it would be kind of nice if we opened up a door to make sure that there wasn't anything in there that shouldn't be. And we can go through that at a later date as far as what's supposed to be and what's not. But at the same time, when we're going back and picking up our coffee carts, making sure that there's no trays in there. When we're walking down the halls, making sure that there's, just look inside the room and say you delivered a cart upstairs to unit 3, and then in turn you walked by a nourishment room and you were like, oh, there's a tray in there. Grab it and bring it back to the kitchen. Chances are we're going to either need something off of that, whether it be a lid, a base, a wax pellet base, or just the fact that it shouldn't be there anyway, and we can just bring it back and do ourselves a favor rather than getting it on later. And then the hydration cart. The hydration cart has been transformed into a summertime thing. It is now an everyday thing, and the reason for that is because we have people that are going outside for various reasons that still want that hydration cart out there when they go outside. So that's fine. By all means, we make a hydration cart up every single day. I wouldn't make it if it's raining, but you never know. Just be ready in case somebody asks for it, because you don't know if it's going to stop raining. But at this point now, just be ready to make a hydration cart every single day. Number 7, Med Pass at the door. So I noticed that we were putting the Med Pass near the door, right next to the ice machine, and it does make our lives a little easier when nurses come and say, hey, can I have? The problem with it is I went down to the nourishment rooms the other day, and after checking on a few of them, a vet came back with 10 extra boxes of Med Pass. The nurses don't think about it, but it comes out of our budget. I got in trouble when I first got here for going over budget for Med Pass. We are no longer over budget for Med Pass. We're actually a little under budget for Med Pass, which helps us fix the problems in the beginning of the year. And really it just comes down to the fact that we're just not letting the nurses do what they want, which is grab as much as they can, bring them down there, hide them, and so on and so forth. Nobody needs to have 8 cartons of Med Pass in one fridge, ever. It's just far too much. So make them ask for it. Hopefully it slows them down, because I think they're just grabbing them right next to the door and running away. Trash in boxes. Trash. At the end of every shift, trash needs to get brought outside. There is trash next to the ice machine now. That trash next to the ice machine is so that we have a spot to put our gloves when we're on tray line. But it also means that now we can have a place for our coffee grounds and anything else that we produce as far as trash goes on that side of the kitchen. Coffee grounds and anything else is not supposed to go into the hand sink trash can next to the hand sink next to the juice machine. The only thing that's really ever supposed to go in there is trash from washing your hands. So basically just paper towels. So if there's more than paper towels in there, we're not following the rules of the building, which is hand sinks get hand trash, everything else gets everything else trash. Let's use the everything else trash next to the ice machine for that. And then in turn, let's make sure it goes out at the end of the night, because coming in the morning and seeing trash full is just sad. Trash needs to go outside, covered, dumped, rinsed. The can needs to be rinsed if it's dirty. The trash bag needs to be put back in it, and then it needs to be brought back inside covered. The reason for this is because if you take a trash bag out of a trash can inside the kitchen, you can end up with debris becoming aerosolized and going into the air, and in turn you can end up getting it on food, this, that, and anything else. So let's not try and put trash on food. Let's do it all the correct way, which is outside. Communication. We all pretty much have my cell phone. Um, if anything comes up, please don't hesitate. But at the same time, remember, um, try and be day and time appropriate. 2 in the morning is not a good time to let me know that you're not going to be able to work 5 days from now. That's probably inappropriate. It's also a little inappropriate if, say, it's a Sunday and I'm not here, that you wanted to talk to me about something that could have waited. I am generally here from roughly 8 in the morning until 4:30 at night, give or take, almost every day, Monday through Friday. Um, Feel free to text, um, at reasonable times as well. So say, maybe it's 6 or 7 o'clock and something comes up, but it can wait. By all means, text. If you call me and I know you're at work, I will pick up the phone if I can. If I can't, I can't. I mean, there's no way around it. But if I can, I will pick up the phone when you're at work. And some people have done that here. And they have called me to let me know that the steamer's making bad noises, this, that, and the other thing, or whatnot. And dish machine won't work at all. By all means, call me. But please, again, make it time and day appropriate. Thank you. So we had a mock survey recently. That mock survey came through, and we were excited for a couple of things. One of them is personal drinks. Anybody know what the personal drink rule is? No personal drinks in the kitchen. There's a couple of caveats here and there, so on and so forth. Just don't do it. It's easier if there's no personal drinks in the kitchen. By all means, put your personal drinks in the break room. That's a great spot for them. If you have to, put them in my office. I don't care. That's fine. Put them on the desk and say, hey, can I just leave this here for a minute or whatever? I really don't care. But it can't be in the kitchen. You have a water bottle, you're drinking out of it, can't be in the kitchen. You have a 16-ounce styrofoam cup with water and ice, it can't be in the kitchen. Can't be in the dish pit, can't be on tray line, can't be next to the juice machine, can't be next to the Roboku. It cannot be in the kitchen. I understand people get thirsty and want to drink every once in a while. It's not going to be a hardship if you don't take a drink every 5 minutes. If you have dry mouth or something like that, put in a lozenge. No chewing gum in the kitchen either. Sorry. The other thing we got in trouble was rags in buckets. All rags need to be in a sanitizer and or soap bucket, period, the end. We get the certain rags which allow us to know whether or not the sanitizer is still working or if it's past its prime. But all of those rags need to be in a bucket, whether it be red or green. They can't be on the counter, they can't be anywhere else except in a bucket. The only exception being is I will allow them to be in the dish pit, at that 3-compartment sink off to the side, because we do use them to clean things. And so at that point it's more of a sponge than anything else, but nonetheless they have to be anywhere else. They have to be in a bucket. Can't have dry certain rags just hanging out waiting for you to use them later. If you need a dry rag, you got to go get one and then in turn put it in a sanitizer bucket, or use paper towels, or just leave it moist. In theory, we're supposed to wipe down all the counters with soap and then use the same rag to clean up most of the soap, and then wipe down all the rags with sanitizer and then let that air dry. It has to stay wet for at least 30 seconds, but in turn we have to let it air dry. It's the only way that we're going to know that it's sanitized.
Unit 1 nurse, you have a...
So at that point we just need to make sure that we're making the rags in buckets, nice and simple. One of the other things we got in trouble for was hand washing. We need to make sure that we are washing our hands appropriately at all times. Nursing got in trouble for it, but it is definitely, again, building wide, and in turn not really a bad idea just to keep up on it. Anytime you think your hands are dirty, wash your hands. Anytime you've ever touched something, wash your hands. If you walk off the tray line and come back, wash your hands. Which really makes sense that, you know, when you're on tray line and you're either at one station or the other, just stay there. Try and make sure that you have everything that you need there already. That way you're not walking around. The other thing we got in trouble for was the dish machine. Dish machine in this building has always been a little bit of a hassle. We have to make sure that we are touching clean dishes with clean hands, and then in turn not going from dirty dish to clean dish. It's really just, it's not even a company policy or corporate policy or a building policy. I mean, this is a state policy and a government policy of clean on clean, the end. Don't touch stuff with dirty hands. I know we've had challenges with that in the past, and we're working towards finding solutions for that, which are probably going to be growing pains for everybody, but nonetheless, we do have to come up with a plan. I hope I covered everything that I wanted to. I probably didn't. Again, we do have job descriptions and timelines coming out, so after you watch this video, we'll all talk about those. And don't forget that there are in-services that we have to do by law every month in the kitchen, as well as you have to do your Relias training on your phone while at work. Somehow make the time. And those are due monthly as well. So, and if you can't figure out how to get on Relias or whatnot, if you're having problems, by all means, we'll sit down and we'll figure it out. Thank you.